Let me start with this. Why are you obsessed with vibrating correctly? Who told you that you had to fix yourself, that you had to be something other than what you already are? Let's be honest, you've been spending so much time trying to align, trying to heal, trying to raise your vibration, that it's starting to feel like a chore. It's starting to feel like work. And isn't that ironic? The very thing that's supposed to set you free, the idea of living in high vibration, has become another trap. Another standard you feel like you're failing to meet. But what if I told you that you're missing the point entirely? What if I told you that vibrating correctly isn't the goal, and it never was? Let me ask you something. Who are you trying to vibrate correctly for? Is it for yourself, for some higher power, or is it for the image you've created in your mind of who you think you need to be? This is where most people get stuck. They try to force themselves into a spiritual mold, thinking that if they meditate a certain way, eat a certain way, or think a certain way, they'll finally be enlightened, finally be worthy. But that's the trap. And the more you chase this idea of correct vibration, the farther you move from your true self. Because here's the truth: you don't need to vibrate correctly, you just need to vibrate authentically. And there's a massive difference. So let's break this down. What does it even mean to vibrate correctly? For most people, it means being positive all the time, never feeling anger or sadness, and living in some kind of perfect state of bliss. But let me ask you, do you think the universe vibrates correctly? Look at nature. Look at a storm. Look at an earthquake. Look at a forest fire. These things are chaotic, destructive, and raw, yet they're part of the natural order. They're part of the balance of life. The universe doesn't judge itself for vibrating incorrectly, so why do you? Here's the deeper truth: your vibration is always correct because it's always real. Even when you're angry, even when you're sad, even when you feel lost, that's your authentic vibration in that moment. And that authenticity is what connects you to the universe, not fake positivity, not forced enlightenment. Authenticity. So stop trying to vibrate correctly and start embracing where you are right now. Because where you are is where your power is.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
But I know what you're thinking: if I stop trying to raise my vibration, won't I just stay stuck? Won't I just spiral into negativity? And the answer is no. Here's why: when you stop judging your vibration, you create space for it to change naturally. Think of it like water. If you try to grab water, it slips through your fingers. But if you let it flow, it moves effortlessly. Your vibration is the same way. The more you try to control it, the more resistance you create. But when you let go, when you allow yourself to just be, your vibration naturally rises. Not because you forced it to, but because you're no longer blocking it. Now, let's make this practical. The next time you're feeling low, instead of trying to force yourself into a higher vibration, I want you to do something radical. Feel it fully. If you're sad, let yourself be sad. If you're angry, let yourself be angry. Don't judge it. Don't resist it. Just sit with it. And as you do, ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Because every emotion, every vibration carries a message. And when you listen to that message, the emotion no longer needs to control you. It no longer needs to linger. It moves through you, and your vibration shifts naturally. But there's another layer to this. What if I told you that low vibrations aren't bad? What if I told you that they're just as valuable as high vibrations? Think about it, you wouldn't appreciate the light if you'd never experienced darkness. You wouldn't value joy if you'd never felt pain. Contrast is what makes life meaningful. So instead of trying to avoid low vibrations, learn from them. Embrace them, because they're not here to hurt you, they're here to help you grow. And this brings me to something deeper, the idea of perfection. So many of us are chasing this idea of being spiritually perfect, of vibrating perfectly all the time. But perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. Even the most enlightened beings experience moments of doubt, moments of struggle. And that's not a flaw, it's part of the journey. You didn't come here to be perfect. You came here to be real, to experience the full spectrum of life, the highs and the lows, the light and the dark. That's what it means to be alive. Let me ask you another question. What would happen if you stopped trying to fix yourself? What would happen if you accepted yourself exactly as you are right now in this moment? Not the version of you that's healed. Not the version of you that's enlightened. The version of you that's messy, imperfect, and human. What would that feel like? Can you even imagine it? Because here's the paradox: the moment you stop trying to fix yourself, you realize you were never broken. You've always been whole. You've always been enough. And that realization, that's true alignment. That's true vibration. So here's what I want you to do. Let go of the idea of correct vibration. Let go of the idea that you need to be anything other than what you are. Instead, focus on being present. Focus on being authentic. Because authenticity is the highest vibration there is. When you're authentic, you're in harmony with yourself. And when you're in harmony with yourself, you're in harmony with the universe. It's that simple. Now, I want to leave you with one final thought before we move on. What if your vibration isn't something you have to control? What if it's something you just have to trust? What if the universe is already guiding you, already aligning you with exactly what you need, but you're too busy trying to vibrate correctly to notice? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you're meant to live is your own resistance? Take a moment to really think about that, and when you're ready, let's dive deeper. Let's talk about control. You've been gripping so tightly, haven't you? Trying to make life fit into the shape you think it should be. Trying to force your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy to line up perfectly with some abstract idea of what it means to be high vibrational. But let me ask you something that's hard to admit out loud. Has it worked? Has all that effort, all that striving brought you peace? Or are you more exhausted than ever, caught in a cycle of chasing and falling short? Chasing and falling short. The truth is, control is exhausting. You're trying to micromanage your existence, trying to engineer your outcomes, trying to make sure you're doing everything right, but life doesn't work that way. The more you try to control it, the more it slips through your fingers. It's like trying to hold onto water. The tighter your grip, the less you can hold. And yet we've been taught that if we just try hard enough, if we just get it all perfect, then everything will fall into place. But that's a lie. The harder you try to control your vibration, the more disconnected you become. The more you resist the natural flow of life, the more out of tune you feel. Here's the thing: control is fear in disguise. It's this unspoken belief that if you relax, if you let go, everything will fall apart. That if you stop trying to fix yourself, you'll somehow lose yourself. But it's the opposite. Letting go isn't about falling apart. It's about falling into place. It's about trusting that there's a rhythm to life. a natural intelligence that's far greater than anything your mind can comprehend. And when you stop resisting that rhythm, when you stop trying to control the beat, you can finally hear the music. But I know that's easier said than done. Letting go feels risky. It feels like stepping into the unknown. And your mind hates the unknown. It wants certainty, predictability, control. But think about it, when has real growth ever come from playing it safe? When have you ever truly felt alive without taking some kind of risk? Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about giving in. It's about surrendering to what already is, instead of fighting it. It's about stepping out of your own way so that life can meet you where you are. So let's make this real. Right now, what's one thing you're holding on to so tightly that it's draining you? Is it a belief about who you should be? A fear of what might happen if you stop trying so hard? Or maybe it's the judgment you've been carrying about not being good enough. Whatever it is, take a moment to notice how heavy it feels. Notice the weight of carrying it. And now imagine what it would feel like to just set it down. Not solve it. Not fix it. Just stop holding it. Can you feel the difference? That's the power of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop forcing. It means you allow life to unfold instead of trying to control every detail. And here's the ironic part: when you let go, things actually start to flow. The energy you've been using to grip and push and pull suddenly becomes available to you in a way it never was before. It's like unclenching a fist. The moment you release, your hand is free to receive. That's how surrender works. It's not passive, it's powerful. But surrender isn't just a decision you make in your mind, it's something you feel in your body. That's where all the tension of control lives, in your shoulders, your chest, your stomach. That's why your body feels so tight when you're stressed, so heavy when you're worried. Your body is carrying the burden of all the things you're trying to control. So the next time you feel that tension, instead of ignoring it or trying to push through it, stop and breathe into it. Let your body soften. Let it release what it's been holding. You'll be amazed at how quickly your energy shifts when you stop fighting yourself. And here's what most people don't realize: surrender doesn't mean you lose your power. It means you find it. Because real power isn't about control. It's about alignment. It's about alignment. It's about being so connected to yourself, to the present moment, that you don't need to force anything. You just flow with it. Think about the ocean. It doesn't try to control the waves. It doesn't fight the tides. It just moves effortlessly with a power that's undeniable. That same power exists within you. When you stop trying to control every ripple, you allow the full force of your energy to come through. That's what it means to vibrate authentically. But let's take this deeper. Control isn't just about what you do, it's about what you believe. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that you weren't enough as you are, that you had to prove yourself, that you had to earn your right to feel good, to be happy, to belong. That's where the need to control comes from the belief that if you just do everything perfectly, then you'll finally be worthy. But here's the truth: you were worthy the moment you were born. You don't have to earn what's already yours. You don't have to prove what's already true. The only thing you need to do is remember it. So what would happen if you stopped trying to perfect yourself? What would happen if you allowed yourself to be exactly as you are, flaws, messiness and all? Because that's where your real power is. Not in being perfect, but in being real. When you're real, you're free. free to feel, free to express, free to live. And that freedom, that's the highest vibration there is. Letting go isn't something you do once. It's something you practice moment by moment. It's a choice you make every time you feel yourself tensing up, every time you catch yourself trying to control what can't be controlled. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. Until one day, you realize that you don't have to try so hard. That life isn't something you need to manage, it's something you get to experience. Fully. Freely. Authentically. And now, here's the question that will change everything. What is one thing you can let go of today? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. What's one thing you can release that no longer serves you? Maybe it's the need to always be on. Maybe it's the story that you're not doing enough. Maybe it's the belief that you have to fix yourself before you can be happy. Whatever it is, let it go. Even if it's just for today. Even if it's just for a moment. See how it feels. See what shifts. Because here's the secret: life isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be present, to show up exactly as you are and trust that that's enough. And when you can do that, when you can let go of the need to control, to fix, to prove, you don't just vibrate correctly. You vibrate freely. And that's the only vibration that matters. Let's talk about energy, your energy. You've felt it before, haven't you? Those moments when everything clicks, when life feels effortless, when you're not trying, not pushing, and yet somehow everything flows. It's like the entire universe is working with you, moving things into place without you even asking. Those moments aren't accidents. They're not random. They're a glimpse of how life is supposed to feel when you stop living in resistance. But here's the thing: most of us don't live that way. Most of us spend our lives fighting against ourselves, against our circumstances, against the very nature of existence. We resist what is. We resist who we are. And that resistance is what drains us. It's what keeps us stuck, tired, and frustrated. Because energy isn't something you lack. It's something that's always available to you. The question isn't, how do I find more energy? The question is, what's blocking me from accessing the energy I already have? So let's start there. What's blocking you? What's creating resistance in your life right now? Is it the fear of failure? The pressure to be perfect? The belief that you're not good enough? Resistance comes in many forms, but at its core, it's always the same. It's a refusal to accept what is. It's the tension between how things are and how you think they should be. And that tension, that constant struggle, is what cuts you off from your infinite energy. But here's the truth: life isn't supposed to be a struggle. Think about nature. Does a tree struggle to grow? Does the ocean struggle to move? Does the sun struggle to rise? No. They just do what they're meant to do, effortlessly, because they're not resisting themselves. They're not trying to be something they're not. And the same is true for you. When you stop resisting yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your circumstances, you tap into a flow of energy that's limitless. You stop forcing and start allowing. And that shift changes everything. But how do you stop resisting? How do you let go of the struggle? You start by recognizing that resistance isn't something external, it's something internal. It's not the situation that's creating resistance. It's your reaction to it. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. The situation itself is neutral. It's just cars on a road. But if you're sitting there, gripping the steering wheel, cursing under your breath, thinking about how unfair it is, you've created resistance. You've turned a neutral situation into a source of stress. But what happens if, instead of resisting, you accept it? What happens if you take a deep breath and say, "This is where I am right now, and that's okay"? The traffic doesn't change, but your energy does. You go from tense to calm, from drained to present. That's the power of releasing resistance. But let's go deeper. Resistance isn't just about external situations. It's about how you relate to yourself. How often do you resist your own feelings? How often do you tell yourself, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "I need to get over this"? That's resistance. That's the voice in your head that says you need to be someone other than who you are right now. And the more you fight yourself, the more disconnected you become. But what if, instead of resisting your feelings, you allowed them? What if you said, "I'm angry right now, and that's okay," or "I'm scared right now, and that's okay"? Do you see how much lighter that feels? Allowing doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're giving yourself permission to be human. And this is where the magic happens. When you stop resisting, you create space. And in that space, energy flows. Creativity flows. Solutions flow. You don't have to force them, they come naturally, because you're no longer blocking them. Think about the last time you tried to force a solution to a problem. It probably felt like hitting a brick wall. But then, maybe when you finally stopped thinking about it, the answer came to you out of nowhere. That's what happens when you let go. You move out of your own way, and life moves through you. But letting go isn't just a mental shift. It's physical too. Resistance lives in your body. It's that tightness in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that tension in your shoulders. So if you want to release resistance, you have to release it from your body. One of the simplest ways to do this is through movement. Go for a walk. Dance. Shake your arms. Stretch. Don't overthink it, just move. Let your body do what it needs to do to release the tension it's been holding. You'll be amazed at how quickly your energy shifts when you let your body lead the way. And here's the most important part: stop trying to control the outcome. This is where most people get stuck. They let go temporarily, but then they start obsessing over whether things are going to work out the way they want. That's not letting go, that's just another form of resistance. Real letting go means trusting that whatever happens is exactly what's meant to happen. It means trusting that life has a rhythm, a flow, and that you don't need to micromanage it. Your job isn't to control the river, it's to flow with it. So here's what I want you to think about. What would your life look like if you stopped resisting? If you stopped trying to control every outcome, fix every problem, and perfect every moment? Can you imagine how much lighter you'd feel? How much more energy you'd have? Because here's the truth: resistance is the only thing standing between you and the life you want. When you release it, you don't just create space, you create possibilities. You open yourself up to opportunities, ideas, and experiences that you couldn't see before because you were too busy trying to control everything. And let me be clear, this isn't about giving up on your goals or dreams. It's about approaching them from a place of flow instead of force. When you're in flow, you're not pushing against life, you're moving with it. You're not trying to make things happen, you're allowing them to happen. And that's where true creation begins. Not from struggle, but from ease. Not from effort, but from alignment. So here's my question for you. What's one thing in your life right now that you've been resisting? Maybe it's a situation you don't want to accept. Maybe it's a feeling you don't want to face. Maybe it's the fear of letting go itself. Whatever it is, what would happen if you released your grip? What would happen if you trusted that life knows what it's doing, even if you don't? That's where your infinite energy is waiting. Not in the fight, but in the surrender. And remember, this life isn't meant to be a constant uphill battle. It's meant to be a dance, a collaboration between you and the universe. And when you stop resisting, when you stop gripping, you can finally join the dance. You can finally feel the rhythm. And in that rhythm, you don't just live, you come alive. Thank you for staying with me for this. This is your reminder: stop trying to vibrate correctly. Stop trying to perfect yourself. Just live. Just be. That's where your power is. That's where your energy is. Trust it. Trust yourself.